Welcome back to Dyslexia Way of Thinking, Dyslexia course. Hi, it's me again, Steve. There's something which I always get asked about, or I hear remarks about. And I think there's a key reaction to this in the sense of the way dyslexic people get treated. And maybe if this reaction is with dyslexic being treated from an early age, this can happen. But people always believe dyslexic people are not intelligent, or they're a bit thick or a bit dim. And I remember the days of going to school, and I remember I speak often to dyslexia tutors and family and friends who have kids at school, and they often say that my dyslexic kid has a helper. And I remember at school that the dyslexic kids often had a helper, but this helper would often do the work for them. And these children were lazy. They were perceived thick by the teacher, so the teacher really didn't want to help them. But looking back at myself, I was always perceived as being the intelligent kid, but struggled a hell of a lot with school, with learning. I mean, teachers always said to my parents, Stephen's intelligent, but he just really struggles with reading and writing. And my reading and writing was at the age of 13 of about a 5-year-old. So therefore I always failed my exam. So I was always perceived by some teachers as being thick, a bit dumb. And I was even put into a special needs class. And I could do the work with ease. And looking back now, I look at and think, why was I perceived as intelligent? And it was because I had a good intelligence. Even though I didn't read a lot of books, what I did was I watched TV, I read newspapers, I tried to build my intelligence. Now, I'm not saying dyslexic children are thick at all, but what I think is, if your reading and writing is not fantastic, you need to build your intelligence in a simple method that is easy to learn by. And we go to school to learn, but there are other ways to learn. We go to school and we listen to the teacher, and the teacher tells us what to learn, and we read books, but dyslexics have trouble with reading books. But there are two elements of our home life which I am a great believer that can help a dyslexic child learn. Now, every morning before I went to school, my parents didn't force this on me. I just did it because it was there. I had access, and it was a nice way for me to relax before going and having breakfast. But I read the newspaper every morning. I watched the news every evening. So what was happening was I was getting taught the world around me. The news was in the newspapers telling me what was the politics, the business world out there. What was the life out there? I didn't just learn about business and politics, I read up a bit about wildlife, society, and this gave me a great deal of information for the classroom. Also, I didn't just watch the news or read newspapers, but I watched TV. Now, yes, I was a child, so I watched TV programs for kids. We all did. We all do. But I watched documentaries. History documentaries. I watched and listened documentaries for society, wildlife. And this gave me a great background in when I went into my lessons. Now, I mightn't like to read, but I always remember that I always read the newspaper, and I still do. A lot of my friends say that Stephen has a great wealth of information. A lot of it's probably useless information, but I understand the world around me, and I did as a child. Now, I think it is important that if you are a dyslexic, you should have a newspaper every day or every 2 or 3 days. If you're a parent, have a newspaper in the house. It's important. Now, I'm not saying you should push this on your child if you're a parent, or a student, a dyslexic student should be pushed to read a newspaper, but it does build intelligence. And I didn't read the most intellectual newspapers like the Times. I read a mediocre newspaper which gave me just an idea of the information I needed to be interested in. I didn't read every single word of a newspaper article. I often skimmed. When I found an article I enjoyed, I then read it. And over time, I got more confident in my reading, but I built my intelligence. Now, I hope this simple 6-minute presentation about building intelligence will help you. Some people might disagree with it, but I believe it can help. So remember, if you've got any questions ever about dyslexia, feel free to email me at stephen@dyslexiawayofthinking.co.uk, or you can find me at my Facebook group, What Dyslexia, and obviously the website, Dyslexia Way of Thinking. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.